Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. Your movie was just incredible. I thought that it was so moving, and I'd like both of you kind of talk about the heart of it when you were taking it on. I know it's a true story, and start out with the heart of what pulled you into it.
Well, it's a biblical story. Essentially, I think of in the Bible. Now, Tim Ballard, Homeland Security agent, goes down, takes down one of the worst child traffickers in history. Meets this little boy. I won't tell you the story, what happens there, but the little boy asks him a question. Little boy, 5, 6 years old. Imagine, boy says, "Will you save my sister?" So he goes back, talks to his wife, and he essentially sells everything. And he goes and tries to find this little girl. And Jesus talks about the kingdom of heaven is like a pearl that you would sell everything for. Tim found it, and I loved this story because it was like a modern day part of the gospel of truth that has been so watered down and butchered. And it sadly it comes in the name of our children, and God's like, you won't defend your republic, will you at least save your own children? And so it's a big question. You walk in to this movie, your hair is going to stand up. It's highly entertaining. It's a venture. But the Eduardo came to me with Alejandro. They called me about it. I read the script really fast, and I essentially begged them that, look, if you hire me, I will do what we did in the Passion of the Christ. It will be phenomenal. And thank God they did.
Eduardo, for you, this project, getting a hold of it and the desire to do it. Talk about that.
I met Tim Ballard in Los Angeles, California, almost 8 years ago. I met him and his team, his friends, ex-CIA agents, ex-FBI agents. And when I learned, what these guys were doing, traveling around the world undercover, rescuing children who were kidnapped for sexual exploitation, and when they explained to me in details about, not just human trafficking, because I knew about human trafficking, generally speaking, but I didn't know about the details of what they do to these children, 5, 6, 7-year-old children, how these poor little children are being raped 15 times a day for many years, and after that they jump into this black market of child organs traffic. And I cannot even talk about this without being shocked. Even it's been 8 years, but I'm still on shock, and I was in shock. I was shocked, and he told me, "Eduardo, it's very sad what I'm telling you. But it's more sad now that you know it if you do nothing." And I knew at that moment I had to do something. I'm a filmmaker. I can make movies that can move people, move it to movement, right? We need a movement here because there's a lot of great people, a lot of great organizations around the world fighting to end child trafficking, but we need to put all of them together. And for me, it was very easy at that moment to say, okay, listen, I'm going to put pause in everything that I'm doing right now. I'm going to make a promise to God and to myself that I'm going to dedicate my entire life to end child trafficking with you guys. I have a weapon of mass instruction and inspiration, which is film. I'm going to make a movie about your life, but please tell me what's the most difficult and the most dangerous and the most successful rescue mission you've ever done in your life. And he said, the first one, Cartagena, Colombia. Okay, tell me about it. But wait, can you please wait for tomorrow? Because I want you to meet Alejandro Monteverde. And I brought Alejandro Monteverde, and when both of us, we heard his story, it was clear to us, okay, that's the movie. And then we asked him how the whole thing ended. Well, Eduardo, we were in this island, and we arrested these bad guys, and we rescued these children. And when they experienced the freedom, they started crying, they started singing. It was like this beautiful sound of freedom. That's the title. And we started working, 8 years of work for 2 hours of your time, which is what this movie lasts. And finally, after a lot of work and obstacles and tears and blood and so many things, I can't believe that now finally it's coming out, July 4th, Independence Day, the day that we celebrate freedom. Okay, well, let's celebrate freedom by going to the movie and see this film so you can open your eyes and you can learn that this is real. This is not far from you. This is not in Bangladesh or other countries far from you. This is happening next door behind your house. And don't wait for this tragedy to come to your house for you to wake up. Wake up now so we can end this, putting into practice the golden rule. Treat others the way how you like to be treated. Do to others what you would love them do to you or to your children. And what if this is your child? And that was the motivation for me. I pictured myself like, okay, I have a son right now. Imagine that I have a son. My son is missing. What would I do? I will stop everything that I'm doing, and I will hope and I will pray that the whole world will do the same, so they can help me to find my child. Well, that's my motivation every day when I wake up in the morning till today, and it's going to be until we end this.
I want you guys to also talk about the faith that's shown in the movie, because it shows very strong faith. The one character who, says, "This is my God moment." I thought that was such a powerful scene. That would make you cry. But can you guys talk about, how faith really led Tim and really led the mission, and how it, changes everything?
My feeling is that, and I've said this several times, how, our love for God's children has got to be greater than our fear of evil, just as our love for Jesus Christ has got to be greater than our fear of the cross. Understand that more Christians now are more afraid of the devil than they are of God. God could destroy the devil without a glance. And I see this all the time in churches, and I bring it up. I have this movie, Passion of the Christ, and how many come up to me and say, "Yeah, I didn't see that film because I just don't like what you guys do to Jesus." I said, "Well, I'm sorry, I didn't do anything to Jesus. I tried to show you his love for you and what he gave for you. And somehow it's happy Jesus. They want happy Jesus. And certainly I'm trying to weaponize you so that in the future, first of all, when you watch this movie, it shows you the warning signs. These are the things a mother needs to look for so that she doesn't lose her children. But she doesn't do that. She puts her head in the sand. I don't know any part of Christianity that says to put your head in the sand. It shows you how routinely it occurs. So you have, by watching this, it weaponizes you to enjoy the 4th of July, as opposed to when the 4th of July comes and all of a sudden you looked one second here or there and your daughter's gone. And if you're going to, the chances of getting your child back, they're very slim. So I remember finishing the movie and I went to my sister's house, and they live in Texas, and she wants to allow her daughter to walk home by herself. And I said, that's crazy. Even 3 girls are walking by themselves. There would be vans that walk by and they have no handles on them. That'll be a sign that they're looking and they're staking you out. This is not helping our children. And so by the time I was done explaining, this is back when we got done in 18, when I finished, they wanted me out of the house. But I'm not there to cause you harm. I'm there to help you and protect you, and to let you know the mainstream media is not helping you. It's hindering you. And the mainstream media has not done a good job, horrible as far as telling us what's going on at the open borders. We lost children last year, disappeared. They don't exist. They're gone. They don't know where they are. And how do you know that? April 26th, Ms. Rojas gave her testimony to the Congress, to the subcommittee, and with evidence. And did you notice the media didn't say, "Oh, she's been fact-checked"? I will love their fact checkers to meet my fact checkers. And if the public got to see that, the cross-examining that would go on, you would say they're lying.
And the amount of money that they put into government puts into other stuff, you think they could help with sex trafficking. But, it's almost like they want to.
Because a lot of the agencies are involved at the highest level. No more. You can't. It'd be like going to Las Vegas You win a hand in blackjack, one, maybe two, maybe three hands, 5, 10, 20 hands in a row. Okay, how about 1,000 hands in a row? That's impossible. They would throw you out. They would say, look, we don't know what you're doing, but you're out of here. Obviously, something's going on. But with the media now, you say 2 plus what equals 5. They say, well, you say 3. And they say, how do you know? Did you see a 3? That's an analogy, but that's the nuts what this is right now. People are waking up. They're not buying what they're saying anymore. And we did for a long, long time. And this film has that power to wake up a massive culture, which is what Ted Baer and what he's always wanted to do. Remember The Sound of Music, the movie? Great movie, right? And all his friends are like, go ahead, work with the Third Reich, you'll be fine. And he's sitting there pondering, going, I can't do this. I have to give up everything, but I've got to save my family, my kids. And he takes them and he climbs every mountain. And so here's that. This is kind of your, not Sound of Music, but Sound of Freedom, which is the freedom is that listening to God's voice, not being afraid that we're all going to die someday anyway, but to be able to know one day that I'm going to stand before Jesus, and I say, there, so many pastors said, what are you going to do when you die? What are you going to say to God? And I said, well, I try to play you in a movie. I think I did it pretty good, but then I did Sound of Freedom too. So it's a little more of insurance policy for me.
Yeah, I was going to tell you guys, you've received Movie Guide awards before, and, this movie has a lot of faith in it. And we're really in support of what you guys are doing with it. And so, Eduardo, how does that make you feel when you hear that, because both of you have dedicated to your filmmaking to making messages that people can grow from and grow in their faith and be inspired and learn from?
Well, media influence how people think. I heard this many years ago, and I think now it's even worse, but the average percentage between parents and their children having meaningful conversations a day, the time is 3 to 6 minutes a day.
Wow.
Right? So I'm not even talking about quality time, just time. But in front of the media, it's more than 10 hours every day. And when I say media, it's social media, music, movies, TV shows, radio, videos, video game, everything, right? Of course, it's more than 10 hours, I think. So who is educating our children? It's not parents. There's exceptions, but the rule. There's no schools neither. It's the media. Now, there's nothing wrong with the media. The media is just a powerful mean that if you use it well, you can change the world. You can influence in a very positive way your audience, or you can poison the minds of the youth. You can poison the mind of the audience. And when I realized that, when I learned about that, that's when I made a promise that I would never use my talents again to do anything that will offend my faith, my family, or my Latino culture. After I made that promise, I ended up not working for 4 years because every single offer that I got was exactly about the things that I promised I would never do. So I had to turn it down, and I was tired of waiting for a role that will portray a man as a real man. Until a friend of mine told me, "Why don't you become a producer, so you can have the power to control the message?" That's the only way. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there forever. If that's your calling, maybe you should be a producer. Then you can choose your projects. Then you can be the boss on set. No, we don't say this. No, we don't do that. Da, 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 da. As an actor, you don't have that power. You may be lucky, right? You may be fortunate that someone hired you that it's in line with your mind. But you've been waiting for 4 years. What are you going to do? And I was led to open a production company with Alejandro Monteverde and Leo Severino, and the three of us, we started this dream in my living room. It was like in this sofa in front of a table, and the three crazy guys like us, the three amigos, thinking about this dream of making movies that matters, movies that hopefully when people see them, they will leave the theater, wanting to love more, judge less, forgive more, complain less. Again, because media influences how people think. You can change the life of someone else forever, for good or for bad. Plato said this. Plato said, if I have to choose between art and politics, art or politics to govern a nation, He said, I will choose art because art has the power to touch people's hearts and their minds. Therefore, how they think, how they live, how they behave, how everything. And he's right. He's right. So that's why, when I dedicated my entire life with Alejandro to make movies that can move people to do the right thing, the first fruit of that mission was a little film that has changed the life of so many people, including our own Bella. Bella saved thousands of lives from abortion. Women who were pregnant, who scheduled to have an abortion, and by the grace of God, after seeing Bella, they changed their mind, and now their babies are alive. And so many of those babies are called Alejandro, Eduardo, or Bella. It's amazing. It's the biggest thing I've done in my life, But then after that little boy came, that was our second baby, our second movie, a movie about faith, about family, about, doing the corporate works of mercy. A movie that changed the lives of so many people. And while I was doing a focus group in Los Angeles with this film, Little Boy, that's how I met Tim Ballard 8 years ago, 2015. And when I learned what he was doing with his friends, traveling around the world undercover, rescuing children, wow, I said, these guys are heroes. I just want to join this army. And I was in shock, of course. And I remember when Tim said to me, I know it's very sad, Eduardo. I know it's terrible. Yes, it's horrible. But you know what, man? It's more sad now that you know it. If you do nothing, what are you going to do? You're going to look the other way around? No, I'm a filmmaker. I have a weapon of mass instruction and inspiration. And I think we can start a movement with this film, with your story, brother. I want to join the army because there's a lot of people out there sacrificing everything and risking their lives all over the world for many years before I even knew about this, right? Okay, this movie can bring everyone together. And then I don't have any doubt that with the help of God, we can end this nightmare, this terrible reality. God's children are not for sale.
Well, you guys did a great job. And I think that one of the things that I thought was so amazing is that it told the story without even having to show exactly what's happening, right? The audience knows what's going on. And so
that's the magic of art. That's the magic of art. That's the magic of Alejandro Monteverde. And that's the magic of everyone that is involved, that we have to respect always the integrity of the actors, especially children. When you're dealing with children, you need to protect their innocence, their minds, their thoughts, their integrity. And that's why these kids, they never knew what this film was about. We were talking to their parents and we were telling them different stories. And then, of course, in the editing, you see the story. But our goal as a filmmakers is, how can you pretend to change the world and to save children when the movie comes out, but you're destroying the minds of children on set? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why that was a deal that we made from day one when we met Tim Ballard. You know what? The story is going to be powerful, but it has to be told with integrity, with purity, with art, with lighting. In every movie you see dark fighting light. And it's like a Rembrandt, claroscuro. In every scene, you have this invisible fight reflected with the light and the dark parts of the scene. Always a light trying to penetrate to light the darkness, because it's, we rather, instead of judging the darkness, we need to light a candle, and then that's when the darkness run to the hills.
Well, thanks so much. Jim, did you want to finalize on any words that you didn't say that you wanted to tell our audience?
I just want to tell them we're selling out, but we don't have the theaters that the Disney movie has, Raiders or Indiana Jones. And so we're trying to do this 2 million tickets for 2 million children that are being trafficked right now. So we're outselling them 3-1, and we're coming up to a wall. And like what we did on The Passion, we got a lot of help from our Christian brothers and sisters, and they started calling in, and the theater started. Yesterday, we just picked up another 300, and but we need more. And so what we don't want to do is when you go to the theater, because most people are just walk-ups, and they want to go to Sound of Freedom, and they obviously it's sold out, so they end up going to Indiana Jones. We didn't want to give them our money. So part of this movement is to create as big of a lightning rod in our community, and to say that you have to pay attention, that God's children are no longer for sale.
When God tells you what to do, you cannot hesitate.
If you enjoy videos that follow your values like ours, and you want to help us continue, go to movieguide.org/donate, because we're actually a nonprofit. You may not know that, but we're working in Hollywood every day to help families have more choices that follows their values. And also subscribe right now.